Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update, joined as always by your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor here at Kraken Cryptocurrency. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic wherever you happen to be tuning in from. All right, we've got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about today. Obviously, guys, we saw a huge pump in the altcoins last night. Basically what we were talking about yesterday, just their time, kind of frequent and fast trading and flying. We continue on with consensus. Obviously, day is the 14th, May 14th, 2019, foul year of our Lord. So, sorry guys, got a lot to cover today. I'm just bursting with excitement. So, if you guys have any questions or anything you'd like me to check out, please throw them in the chat section and we'll try to do our best to absolutely get a hold of them. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit of nuance on the Bitfinex tether situation as Bitfinex supposedly raises $1 billion with their token sale of Leo just in private placement. CNBC's Fast Money covers Bitcoin's price surge. Ruh-roh, this usually spells bad. Remember, by the rumor, sell the news. All right, let's see here. And of course, we're going to break down the price of Bitcoin and what our directions are. Wally coming in strong with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, my good friend. He says, what do I think about picking up Flexicoin? It is used for anything other than what's being reported. Learn, earn, and don't get burned. Flexicoin. He says it's being used. Is it used for anything other than what's being reported? Flexicoin. Well, I'm not an expert, but we'll take a look. Thank you so much, Wally, for the donation. You're one of the good ones, brother. Shout out to Gunbot University. Big model. He is. Wally's killing it, man. He's got the powerful robots. All right. We're also going to talk about a little bit of nuance in a very popular indicator, the market depth ratio. I was doing some. I've used the market depth ratio a lot, and I've been turning my eye toward analyzing it a little bit more critically and seeing how it responds in different market situations. Now, one of the things about statistical data, so this is going to be volume and volatility. This is going to be things like market depth ratio. This is going to be things like sentiment, is that they're not necessarily straightforward in the way that you can interpret them. These indications, these indicators, this market data performs differently and means different things in different market circumstances. So with that in mind, we're going to take a look at the market depth ratio for Aetherium, because that's actually what I was analyzing this morning. And we're going to talk about how the common cookie cutter way of interpreting market depth ratio is actually not working out the way that it's supposed to. We're actually getting opposite signals. So we're going to point out what that means based on the current market conditions. Obviously, market depth ratio is going to pretty much get you eaten up alive when you're trading in a sideways consolidating market. And it's going to do fairly well. I find that giving you opposite signals, it's going to do well at giving you signals, but counterintuitive signals to take price to the long side and take price to the short side. So yeah, we're going to cover all that. And we're also going to break down the Bitfinex premium turn discount, as well as why that actually happened. So a lot of people have asked that question. Why was there a premium on Bitfinex, and now all of a sudden there's a discount on Bitfinex in the price of Bitcoin? So we're going to break all that down, guys. All right, and there we have it. Okay, interesting. I got to get my charts pulled up here. Almost match. Boom. All right, here we are. We're going to start off today's episode with a little bit of this, guys. We're going to start off with this. So, Bitcoin soared back above 8,000, marking a 110% rally this year. Can the crypto comeback last? Now, listen, guys. Common knowledge would tell you that when you see this, and this is what I've been saying for a while, once you see the news, once you see mainstream media start to cover the Bitcoin surge and rally and not just CCN and Cointelegraph, you might want to think about the pullback. So we're going to play this real quick.
Check out the move in the cryptocurrency, up nearly 20% today, breaking above 8,000 moments ago, putting its gains for the year at more than.
And listen to these guys. Listen to these experts. Listen to these market experts.
Big that we've decided to bring back the Bitcoin bug, which graces the corner of your screen right now.
It'll be the end of the rally once we put that up there.
Don't agree with the people on Twitter. Those people are trolls. So what is behind this monster move, Karen?
Thank you, Texas Blues.
I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of...
I don't know. I don't... Price be high. I don't know. It's so high.
People in China are looking to find a way, get the money out, and maybe Bitcoin is the way to do it. And
right, it's China.
You know, we've talked a lot with BK about it. He thinks there's not that many sellers around looking to aggressively sell.
She talked with Burger King about it.
Big demand and not a lot of sellers. Obviously, you get a big move here. I haven't seen a better explanation than that.
Wait, did she just say if there's more buyers than sellers, the price will go up? Mind fucking blown.
There's also Consensus Week going on in New York City. It's a big Bitcoin conference.
The Bitcoiners are running around and they're whipping up some froth. And I'm not saying it's warranted or not warranted. I'm telling you that there's no question that there's a fresh spotlight. And I don't think there's a lot of volume going through making this move. But if you're going to bet on one name in crypto, you're going to bet on Bitcoin. And that's what's going on also when you start to see global...
Do these people sound intelligent to you?
Market dislocation. That's not a surprise. We've seen this before.
I like what Carter Braxton Worth said about Bitcoin. I'm not sure what it is, but it acts well.
So we play the game from time to time.
All right. So here's what the experts have to say about Aetherium. As you can see, lovely information coming from CNBC's Fast Money. This is essentially the crux of what they sum up, and this is basically what you're going to get with just about every. And this is why you can't trade the news. You know, this is why. And no offense to CCN or Cointelegraph or any of those other news articles, but and again, I always have a news aggregator up just in case. But by the time you receive mainstream information, the move's generally already been made, and your risk to reward ratio is asymmetric, right? So you know, it's just. The main thing I wanted to point out with this is just the fact that it had been highlighted. I wanted to play the clip. And the other reason I wanted to play the clip is because these guys are so stupid, right? They're like, oh, price go up. It's so high. I no, maybe buy. Okay, it's good. No, I don't understand. Oh, there's more buyers than sellers. Kind of sounds like a Chart Guys episode. Well, the bulls want higher lows and the bears want lower highs. Yeah. Okay. Where should I buy? All right. Anyways, guys. Having covered that, I want to go over this Reddit article a little bit, and this is a pretty interesting Reddit article. Now, you guys know that I've been fairly critical of Bitfinex, but also, again, if you guys haven't seen my The Truth About Bitfinex Tether FUD video, then I highly recommend you go check that out. Essentially, my stance is that Bitfinex got hoodwinked by Crypto Capital Corporation, which is now obviously Reggie Fowler, CEO of Crypto Capital Corporation, has been indicted and arrested by the United States government. And also calling into question Kraken and Binance's banking activities as well, because they also used Crypto Capital Corporation as a payment processor, as did Quadriga, right? So again, you know, and I've gotten some flack because people are like, oh, you're spreading FUD. No, I'm spreading fact. And the reality is that Bitcoin will change the world, but not necessarily these exchanges, right? So we didn't create cryptocurrency to centralize control yet again, right? But unfortunately, it's a necessary step in the chain link of evolution to move from one to another. But anytime you get involved in the black market, there's going to be shady substances and stuff. And this is just kind of one of the, you know, this is kind of like that revolutionaries. You know, you always have these idealistic revolutionaries, but then to actually get things done, they end up having to consort with legitimate criminals and people with bad motives and bad interests, and bad things typically happen. This is why most revolutions end in bloodshed. So this is the first time that we've actually had a digital revolution, right? So the internet revolutionized mankind, right? So violent revolutions never play out very well because generally by the time you stage a violent revolution, you don't have the support of the people, right? Because in general, people just want to be happy. What you need to do is slowly over time initiate a digital revolution so that that revolution makes people's lives more happy. Look at how the internet absolutely changed the way that we do business, changed the way that we communicate, changed the way that everything that we think about the world today. I mean, it's just drastically, radically different from life 50 years ago. And this is why it's so difficult for individuals who grew up in the technology generation to kind of even get people who are from the older generation to even understand what we're talking about, right? You know, and I know that you guys are well aware of this, right? You know, just try to, you know, every time I try to talk to my grandma and try to teach her how to use her tablet, right? She's just like, it's like boxing with your computer, right? So, but anyways, so digressing from that, my point is, let's talk about addressing the theory Bitfinex Tether is causing this pump related to their hack. Sometimes CZ is involved, right? So I'm not going to read this entire thing. We're just going to go over the cliff notes, right? And basically what this author is talking about is how obviously he's seen basically what I've reported on myself. And he's taking quite a different tack. And he's saying, you know, he's seen this theory that Bitfinex is pumping the price of Bitcoin utilizing Tether, that there's Tether printing going on, that there's market manipulation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in the first place, him and I disagree on this first point because he says, to be clear here, in November, Bitfinex's payment processor, which is Crypto Capital Corporation, lost access to $850 million worth of USD. They claim they lost access. And again, we don't know the absolute truth of this, but I would surmise that not only did they, it's not that they just lost access to it, it's that they weren't upfront and honest about it. So they didn't respond to him. And so I would bet that, reportedly, from all we understand, what Crypto Capital Corporation told Merlin from the Telegram chats that have been produced to the New York Attorney General's office from Bitfinex, basically they got no response from Crypto Capital Corporation. Now, of course, these could be doctored, but we don't have that information either. What we do know is that from what they purport to claim, Bitfinex was bugging Crypto Capital Corporation over and over and over and over again. Please, can we just get $100 million? And Crypto Capital Corporation said, well, look, all this money's been seized by Polish, Portugal, and the United States. Now, we do know that about maybe $450 million was seized by the Polish authorities. Okay, what happened to the other $350 million? Why couldn't Bitfinex get just $100 million to process withdrawals? So that leads me to strongly believe that not only was potentially some funds seized, but Crypto Capital Corporation also stole funds as well, just as they did from Quadriga when all that blew up. So, but his first point here is touching. Subscriber, Fane Button, Fane Button or Fane Button. Thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube, my good friend. But he says Bitfinex is currently under the New York Attorney General's office scope of investigation, and they've turned over documents, as we've seen from them producing those Telegram chats between Merlin and Crypto Capital Corporation. But why would they choose this moment when they're under investigation to commit widespread international market fraud? So that's a decent point. Potentially because they have to. But emptying tether bags. Now, here he goes. This really gets me. Binance holds one of the biggest tether wallets in the world. They obviously would commit wide-scale fraud to get out of their tether risk. First off, those are user-deposited funds that users own. Binance doesn't lose anything if tether goes down. Think about it. What makes tether any different than all of the other cryptos Binance was holding user funds for that dropped 80% in a year? Those aren't Binance's funds. They are user funds. I am sure Binance has some tether, but again, they also have risk management for all of their crypto, right? So, yes, the funds that are deposited on Binance are not Binance's funds. They are user funds, right, which can be withdrawn. Now, what Binance chooses to do with those funds, again, we're not exactly, clear on. Obviously, we can track the blockchain. The blockchain is immutable, so we can track and see exactly how much funds are there. But actually figuring out everything, you would have to have the records of deposits of all customers. You would have to see all the inflow and outflow, for example, of crypto into those wallets to get an accurate count, right? And to the best of my knowledge, that information is tenuous at best. But we do know that since the existence of Binance, there really haven't been any problems with withdrawals and deposits, except for, obviously the 7,000 Bitcoin that got hacked from them the other day. Anyways, moving on. But yes, Binance didn't shut their doors when all of cryptocurrency dropped in this massive bear market that we just suffered. So it wouldn't necessarily make sense for them to commit fraud to benefit. And this is something else that I talked about as well. Like, why would Binance help out Bitfinex, right? There's a lot of memes, there's a lot of things, but Bitfinex and Binance are competing for market share and revenue, right? It doesn't matter how good of friends you are. When it comes down to dollars and cents, at the end of the day, you do what benefits you and yours, not what benefits your buddy. Unfortunately, that's just how the way the world works when you actually get down into it. But Bitfinex Tether are buying Bitcoin by dumping their tether bags and pumping the Bitcoin price. So this would require an immense non-trivial effort, which immediately makes me think anyone who believes this doesn't actively trade on many exchanges. There's so much wrong with this, I'll try to break it down. Bitfinex prints more tether that isn't backed. This will show up on the blockchain and come directly from the tether mint. Probably not a good first step if you want to commit fraud. Well, wherever they send it, I hope they have gone through the extensive KYC and AML process of every major exchange in order to do such size. In order to move the whole market this much, they would have to be the biggest liquidity provider with most major spot exchanges. I am sure it wouldn't raise the eyebrows of every single institutional client manager at every exchange if Bitfinex starts trading 10% of their daily trading volume and asks for the highest withdrawal limits available. No chance. Even if they do all of this, they still have to find a way to get the dollars back to back up all the tether they just faked, which requires them to get USD back to the bank that the New York Attorney General is currently squeezing by the balls. Overall, I find the idea that Bitfinex and Tether are doing anything other than shitting their pants and trying not to go to jail, much less committing global economic crimes, is insane. People on this sub should think harder about these things because, frankly, it is pretty embarrassing. Such conspiracy theories are the party line for a big community. So, I actually agree with his conclusion, right? I think that his conclusion is the most likely scenario here. The odds that Bitfinex is committing widespread fraud and pumping the price of Bitcoin, or that Bitfinex is exclusively behind this, or that Bitfinex is printing Tether. Again, he just laid out all the common things that are necessarily wrong with that scenario. So moving on, but I want to know what your guys' thoughts and opinions are. I know this is a very contentious issue, so let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comment section down below after the video is done processing. If you guys think that Bitfinex is behind this pump, let me know why and what leads you to believe that. And if you kind of agree with the article, with the author of that article, and you think that this is nonsense and that this is just how a rally performs, which is honestly what I think as well, then please let me know why. So breaking down from that, we're going to pull up the chart of Bitcoin. We're getting into the price analysis here in just a second, but I want to talk about the Bitfinex premium turn discount. So up here on the top left, we have the price of Bitcoin on Bitfinex. It's currently sitting at $79.82. And if we go over to the price of Bitcoin on Coinbase, we see that it's at $80.26. So kind of a steep discount, actually. Quite a steep discount, about a $40 discount. It's actually about $20 this morning. It's actually gone down a little bit now. It's expanded now. Now, why is this? Why is there a Tether, why it's called the Tether premium, but why is there a Bitfinex discount now, whereas previously there had been a Bitfinex, why is there a Bitfinex discount now, whereas previously there had been a Bitfinex premium? And I'll explain to you why. So just a while ago, one USDT was worth $1.05, so 1.05 on Bitfinex. Now Tether is currently trading on Bitfinex at around 99 cents, which is the usual, right? So as soon as the report came out that Bitfinex had lost access to its $850 million in funds and that Tether was only 74% backed up by USD or reserves, then we saw a massive bank run on Bitfinex, right? Trading volume dropped as low as $160 million, right? And now they're back up to nearly $1 billion in volume. Okay. The value of USDT fell by 5%. And there was little arbitrage because if anybody's tried to withdraw fiat from Bitfinex, you guys know that it is a lengthy and expensive process. You have to pay high fees. It's a pain in the ass. You have to wait. And again, for a long time, they weren't honoring withdrawals anyway. So the bank run on Bitfinex increased demand for cryptocurrency and reduced demand for USDT. Nobody was wanting to hold USDT, or we saw a massive surge of the market shift, right? Where everybody was trying to sell their USDT for cryptocurrency, pumping the price up on all exchanges. And increasing demand for cryptocurrency, right? And now, if we go look at an indicator that I'm not going to pull up because I'm not an expert in it yet, and I only really like to show indicators that I can show nuance, but something interesting that somebody pointed out to me is obviously the crypto inflow-outflow indicator, right? Where you can see the amount of crypto leaving exchanges as opposed to entering exchanges. Now, I don't think it's going to be just as straightforward as analyzing, well, there's more crypto leaving exchanges, so therefore more people are buying and moving to wallets, private wallets. I think you do have to take into account there, especially if you're analyzing the data over the last week or two, kind of the fundamental events that we've seen in the market, such as the involvement with Bitfinex. But then again, that's not accounting for the large majority of cryptocurrency. So again, it's one of those issues where you're going to need some nuance, and I want to see some good research and patience and discipline from individuals that are attempting to use this. But overall, if we take the cookie cutter approach, the indicator would seem to tell us that if there is more cryptocurrency outflowing from exchanges, then that means that more people are going onto exchanges and purchasing cryptocurrency and then moving them to private wallets, right? If there is more cryptocurrency flowing into exchanges than leaving, then that would mean that people are moving cryptocurrency from private wallets, moving them onto exchanges primarily for the express purpose of selling those cryptocurrencies, right? So currently we don't see that. We actually see more money leaving exchanges than flowing into exchanges, right? Which would traditionally be considered a bullish sign and facts that this rally will most likely sustain. Now, does that mean we do get a dip? No, it doesn't. But also, Finex supposedly just raised now again, we're just trusting on their word, but again, Finex supposedly just raised $1 billion with their LEO, IEO. So bringing in new funds, streamlining their process, that's what has led to the difference between the Tether premium and now the Tether discount, right? It all has to do with the demand and with the price of USDT and the variation in supply and demand for USDT versus cryptocurrency, right? So now that everything is back to equilibrium, we see that the price is naturally sorting itself out. Now we'll see how this progresses moving forward into the future. I think that'll be interesting. Okay, so we talked about the Bitfinex Tether scandal Reddit post. We talked about CNBC fast money. We explained the Bitfinex premium. And now let's go look at the VC depth. Let's go look at vcdepth.io, and we're going to talk about the market depth ratio and why I look at this differently, or why I've begun to look at this differently than a lot of other people look at this differently. Now, so traditionally the way that we would interpret the market depth ratio, or the way that people would look at this is, again, and you have your different options over here, whether you want to look at 10 or 15 or 5 or 2.5 or 1. I do find, again, and this seems to be common knowledge from the people that I've worked with this that utilize this. Again, shout out to Golk, who made the MDR bot that lives in our Discord, so you guys can actually trade off the MDR. There are strategies for trading the MDR. But in general, the common knowledge here seems to be that, so for those of you who are new, so for those of you who don't understand what we're looking at here, the market depth ratio, this is a measure of the ratio of limit buy orders and the ratio of limit sell orders, right? Limit sell orders are denoted by red and limit buy orders are denoted by green. So we can switch back to the books and we can see here on this wibble wobble chart, you can see that the green line is an updating log of the increase and decrease of limit sells. If that line scale goes up, right? If that line goes up, that means there is an increase in limit buying, which is considered bullish. And if there is an increase in the red line, that is an increase in limit sell orders and considered bearish, because there are more people trying to sell than buy. And then you can obviously look at strategies as far as how they interplay, like when they're now all of a sudden when bullish MDR crosses bearish MDR, you can look at that as a signal to buy. When bearish MDR crosses bullish MDR, you can look at that as a signal to sell, and so on and so forth. So this is just looking at it differently. So this is just a centered oscillator going around a ratio of 0. So looking at the difference between the limit orders to buy and the limit orders to sell for Ethereum. We're looking at Ethereum here. And this is being averaged across all major exchanges as well. So this is looking at the order books on all major exchanges and providing historical data for them as well, because obviously you can go back in time and look at this through historical, I'll look at this for historical time as well. So what I have noticed is that the common idea that when the MDR turns bullish, you should buy is not actually true. And it's interesting to see how this performs differently in different market situations, right? So when you are rallying or when you are in a bullish trend, I find that the MDR does not perform as you have been taught to believe. And I found that when price is not in a trend, the MDR is not very helpful. I find that it gives you a lot of sideways chop consolidation. There is a decent strategy for trading the MDR, and I haven't fully backtested it, but my initial results with the MDR is that it doesn't produce the level of success that I would want. But again, I want to qualify that by saying it's impossible to know without doing an extensive backtest. But what I've noticed from analyzing this and observing this is that this gives contrarian signals. So for example, as we can see here, we've been taught to believe that when the MDR turns bullish, when there are more limit orders to buy than limit orders to sell, we should be looking to buy. And when there are more limit orders to sell than limit orders to buy, we should be looking to sell. But in actuality, when there are many limit orders to sell, price seems to climb, right? And it seems to climb exponentially as the ratio of limit sells to limit buys goes away. So we can see over here, for example, that right here, we're in a rally. And again, maybe I want you to understand that this is also being predicated upon a bias of wanting to follow the trend for when the trend confirms, because that is a better setup than attempting to buy a reversal, right? When you're attempting to buy a reversal, you are trading into a hot spot of volatility. And, something, and again, I want to qualify this because I've been fond of saying that I like to trade reversals. It's one of the best ways to trade. Yes, within the trend, right? Your primary strategy always needs to be a strong trend following strategy that allows you to capture the meat of a movement. And then within that trend, when you're looking for reentries, the best trades are reversals in the direction of the dominant trend, not trying to catch the bottom of the market. You've also heard me commonly say you never want to be the guy trying to call the top of a bull market, and you never want to be the guy trying to call the bottom of a bear market, because you will be wrong over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And honestly, that's what the majority of all these YouTube channels try to do. And again, I don't cast shade or aspersion on anybody out there who's trying to do what I do. It takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of courage, and it takes charisma as well as skill to know what you're actually talking about, to be able to put your life on the line, to be able to broadcast, to talk to people, to reach people, and to explain things to people in a way that they can find entertaining and that they can find educational. And that's what I try to do with this channel and the show every day. However, the majority, and you can tell, because what is put out there in the ether is what shapes people's consciousness, right? Not to get too ethereal, but the questions that people hear, or the things that people hear people say who are considered to be experts, that shapes the way that they think about something. So for all of 2017, for all of 2018, we've heard people calling the top, calling the top, calling the top, calling the bottom, calling the bottom. Oh, the market's definitely going to turn around here. The market will definitely turn around here. The market can't climb any higher here. The market can't climb any higher here. It's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. And no, in my opinion, right? In my opinion, no trader worth his salt, or no trader anyways that's in our group, is worried about such things, right? You are worried about what the price is doing now, not what the price may or may not do in the future, right? Now, that's not to say that there are strategies to catch likely areas of reversal. That's fine. They are riskier setups, and they are not the basis of probability, right? They're not the basis of your strategy. They shouldn't be. Because trying to predict market tops, market bottoms is predicated on you thinking that you can be right about the future, about being right about the future, right? And you can't. You're never going to be right. Whether you're right or you're wrong is a coin flip, right? So when you call a market top or bottom, or when you say at any moment in time, the price is going to go up or go down, it's a coin flip, right? You have a 50% probability of price going up or going down, right? Every time you set a trade, you have a 50% chance of price hitting your stop loss or your take profit target first, right? It's a binary option, right? It's Boolean. But that does not mean that over time, a series of trades cannot have a statistical advantage, right? And that's what I'm teaching in my course. That's what I'm trying so desperately for people to understand. And again, I think that if people would focus more on just high probability setups and not clickbait, the market's going to turn around here, the market's going to top here, we could all move on with our lives and actually start making money. But everybody that tried to buy the bottom throughout 2018, and that's, again, you're going to hear this kind of nonsense. If you didn't buy Bitcoin when it bottomed out at 3K, you're a fucking idiot. Okay, great. You're the same dumbass that tried to buy the market all the way down in 2018. You know where the smart people bought the market? At the breakout, right? After consolidation, and then a confirmed trend established to the upside. And that's why you're seeing price pump right now. Because smarter money, well, it's kind of a differentiation. What you're seeing right now is also a little bit of late stage or mid stage buying, right? Because the trend still looks quite strong. But, around that $4,000 area or the mid 4,000s upon the initial breakout, that's when you saw a lot of buying, right? And that's what suppressed price. You had reaccumulation. You had people trying to sell off that initial large candle spike. Once price broke out of that 4,000, you saw attempted distribution, but it was actually reaccumulation because there were more buyers than sellers in the market. And this was smarter money stepping in and saying a trend is established. We're getting into the trend. And now price has done what it's done. So everybody that thought it was too expensive to buy at 4,700 or 4,800, well, we're sitting right now around 8,000. So how did that work out for you? Trying to call the top of a market. Okay, so let me pull open my notes here. So what I've actually found is that when there are many limit sellers, price tends to climb. And when there are many limit buyers, price tends to fall. So the strategy that I've kind of developed for this is, so let's denote this just a little bit. So as you can see here, we do bottom out here, right? And there are a lot of limit orders to buy in this area. And you can say, well, yeah, look where we actually bottom. It's where you have the spike in limit orders to buy. But that's hindsight nonsense, right? Because you have no idea what's going to follow, whether you're going to have another spike or whether you're going to have a lower spike or what the MDR is going to do in the future, right? So just saying that when you get a large spike on the MDR isn't sufficient for me as a trading strategy because you have nothing to compare it to, right? And you're predicating it on, I know what's going to happen in the future. Because what happens if you get let's say, you see this big spike on MDR, and so you decide to buy here. Well, what happens if price continued to go down, and then you got another spike on MDR, and then price went down, and you got another spike on MDR, and price continues to go down, just as you see over here, right? So this is a good example, and I can't really get rid of this cursor, so, and I don't know how to pull open the, maybe somebody could help me out with that at some point in time. But, I know that there's a way where you can pull up like a laser pointer and then, not have to work on this. But anyways, as you can see here at this point in time, you have a spike on the MDR, right? You can see how the MDR spikes green here. And so you could say, well, you've had a spike on the MDR. That's a good time to buy. But look at what price did. Price just continued to go down. And you get another spike on the MDR right here, right? At this. So maybe you buy this, but then price just drops all the way. And you don't have a spike in MDR. So the whole spike in MDR is when you should buy, when you have a spike in limit buying. I don't think that's nonsense because you're predicating that this is going to be the spike, right? And you have no idea what the biggest or smallest spike are going to be. It's predicated on knowing the future, and I think that's garbage. So, and as we can see here, that when the MDR is green, it doesn't say that the market's going to bottom. Like, sure, we know in hindsight that this was this area was the bottom right here, but We don't know that in the moment. So I don't think that this can actually provide you good buying the bottom opportunities. Granted, along the fact that buying the bottom is not a good idea anyways. Now, again, technical indicators are pretty good for this because you can pull open a chart and you can see what a reversal within the trend is, right? And we have indicators for that. For example, anybody in the group has access to time transformation and will soon have access to Minx. And those are indicators that are designed to call a reversal within the dominant trend, right? They're designed to allow you to get a re-entry trade when you're already in a strong position and you're just looking for any and all opportunities to go long in the first place, right? So what we actually see here is that when we get a increase in the limit orders to sell, right, that is when I would say a trend is confirmed and price generally continues in that direction. So as we can see here, on the 10th of May, we have a bullish MDR, right? And as you can see, price starts to climb at this point in time. So we have a bullish MDR, and that would tell you to buy. But as we just pointed out, right, the MDR can stay green for quite a while and then continue to go down. So that's not a good strategy. So what we want is an indication that tells us when the trend is actually shifting and potentially has legs. So you're going to need something else for that. Again, you're going to need a volume indicator, which is, again, we talk about how to test all these things in the course. You're going to need something to tell you that there's enough gas in the tank to take this trade, for example. But in this particular circumstance, as you can see, when the MDR flips from bullish here, so when we have a lot of limit orders to buy, and then right here at this point in time, at 7:30 p.m. CDT my time, the MDR actually flips from 6.27%, which is bullish, to at the next half hour, negative 8.63, which means the MDR is flipped from green to red, meaning we now have more limit sell orders on the books. Well, but what do we see price do? We see price climb, right? We see price continue to climb and continue to climb and continue to climb. And as you can see here, when the MDR is quite red, the market continues to climb. Now, why is this? Because you are now shifting from people have been buying and accumulating and buying the bottom, and now the trend is shifting into an area where it becomes slightly attracted to sell. But as we can see here, that often does not denote a top. Often price continues on in that direction for quite a while, right? And so what I think is that this is actually a good indicator to use quite counterintuitively, that when you actually start seeing an increase in the limit orders to sell, that is actually confirmation of the bullish trend because you're entering into an arena where price is now beginning to be attractive for sellers to sell. And as long as momentum continues on in the direction of the buyers, then sellers will continue to move their limit orders higher and higher and higher, because why wouldn't you sell higher if you can sell higher? And as you can see, this is just back tested over the last week, but I actually took the time to back test this over the last 3 months. Bernard Suyat, thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube, my friend. But I actually back tested this over the last 3 months, and I don't see a lot wrong with this strategy. So if you're looking for an alternative data source to look for entries and exits that is not a technical indicator, then I highly recommend that you do some back testing with the market depth ratio and keeping this into account, right? So the strategy is when the MDR first turns red, buy and set logic. This isn't good for exiting, right? Because when you see the MDR flip from green to red, you generally are beyond the peak of profit, well beyond the peak of profit, right? As you can see here, when the NDR actually turns from negative to green here, you're well below, right? So you don't want to take profit at such a low level. So again, for the guys in the group, you guys know that we use Quadriga ATR. So we'll be using Quadriga ATR or other important levels such as breakers or previous resistance. You want to use technical analysis to give you take profit targets, not fixed percentages, and not an indicator such as this, right? As we've talked about, when we're using trend following strategies, the trend ending is not the exit signal, right? We have reversal indicators, and what their purpose is to tell us when to take profits, right? Not to short. That's what the confirmation indicator's for, but to tell us to take profits, right? And we use ATR to get a good baseline for where those levels are, right? To lock in those profits. So the strategy again is when the MDR first turns red, buy and set logical take profits based on technical analysis. When the MDR turns green, that is your indication to sell, actually, because as you can see, quite the converse. Generally, when the MDR first turns green, again, that's confirmation of price moving down. So that can be an indication to short sell the market, right? So counterintuitive signals. Sell when we turn green, buy when we turn red. Especially now, again, we'll see how this shifts in the future. But for everybody, because I've been getting these messages for a while that, hey, man, I've been watching videos about the MDR and I haven't been getting the results that I want with it. Well, it's because you're using it, I think, in a cookie cutter fashion without actually observing how these tools shift in different market situations. So I back tested this for the last 3 months. It seems to work quite well for the last 3 months. So, make sure that you guys back test anything that you're going to do for profitability. And as always, make sure that you trade safely and responsibly. But I find this to be a very effective method of trading. It seems to give some really, really, really good signals. So, and perhaps over time, the strategy will change. However, again, I think that using the cookie cutter method of MDR as, when MDR is bullish, you should buy, and bearish, you should sell. I don't think it holds up to scrutiny. So that's the market depth ratio. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, it is HTTPS vcdepth.io. I'll put that link right there. Okay. And with that being said, we will shift into our, we'll actually take some questions here real quick, just so I have an idea for what we'll be doing in the second hour. It's Hard says, hey, Justin, how are you, man? Good to see you, brother. Johnny Valentine, good to see you, my good man. Blockchain Gains, Camilo Estrada, Gypsy Hill, Neo Gaming, Neo Baby, Cruise CIT says, hey, I closed my short. It looks like a bull market for me. The same as 2017, starting from 13/11/2017. Let's see. Yes, I would cool off your short engines, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we won't see a significant pullback, but the risk to reward ratio for looking to enter into a short position, I don't think it's quite there yet. Mike is not on fire yet, says, man, WTF is going on. Good to see you, brother. Let's see here. Scott, good to see you this morning, my good man. Matty G, Taurus, Keith Frazine, Turd Ferguson, as always. Good to see you, my good brother. It's Hard says, my two theory about the Binance hack, they took a huge position to short the market on Deribit. Then they released that hack news. They hacked 7,000 Bitcoin themselves, then compensate themselves with another 7,000 Bitcoin. So Binance takes a huge short position on ByBit Deribit. You have to understand that Binance is likely not hurting for the money, and the reputation cost that it would have caused that it would cause them to be as it did now, to be involved with a situation like this. Again, that sounds like a lot of money, but again, what Binance makes in a year dwarfs that. Or what they potentially could make over a long period of time could dwarf that. So for a platform like Binance, confidence and safety and security has to be foremost to them, because they've run that business quite well for quite a long time. And if they're businessmen worth any grain of salt, then short-term gain is not going to be up their alley. I mean, because they are positioned to be a powerhouse in the industry for a long time. So I don't really think that sounds likely. Camilo says, are we going to hit the 10 on Bitcoin? Let's try and hit the 9 first, my good friend. It's Hard says, ZERP pumped 30%. Yes, we took profits on that yesterday. Pablo says, at the end, it wasn't a low risk, high reward to go long on ZERP USD at historic support, 29 cents. Right. No need to buy the bottom, man. No need to buy the bottom. We said yesterday, or I said yesterday, that ZERP was bullish, and we took the trade yesterday, right? Or actually, to be quite honest with you, we scaled into the trade. But there's a reason for that, right? We scaled into the trade for a reason, and it produced fantastic dividends for us, right? There wasn't any reason to just say, hey, price is cheap, let's call the bottom of the market. When Ferrari, hey, man, we're already to when Tesla, man. John Dunn, good to see you, brother. Is XRP good for this week? We will take a look at XRP. Texas Blues says, went long on your ZERP analysis yesterday. Thanks, bro. Up 25% at the moment and holding. You're amazing, man. No, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Because it took you to act, right? It took you to act. It took you to look at the chart, decide it was a good idea, design an asymmetric risk to reward trade setup, and execute, man. That's all you. That's all you. I'm just a guy on the internet, bro. MT Coiner, good to see you, brother. Aloha from the seashores of Montana. Cornish Trader in the house. Zuhair, last time we had a 3-day Kumo cloud break was in October 2015. This to a 36% wick to the upside, followed by a 40% dump. If history rhymed, we would pump to 11K. A 4-day edge to edge, then dump to $5,400. Thoughts? Well, I'm totally fine with, we'll talk about the important critical levels that need to hold here in a little bit. Yeah. But the 3-day edge to edge trade worked better, worked fine. So what would you naturally progress to? We'll see if we can go up to the 4-day edge-to-edge trade. Ethereum will be the next monster move. Militia Lee, beauty without brain. Yes, unfortunately. Fake news. Why didn't I hear the word Bitcoin until 2017 with WTF? I'm a Pommy. Thanks so much for the subscription on YouTube. Zerp. Kill Switch says ByBit says it isn't available in the United States. There is a link in the description down below for Windscribe VPN. Crypto Slice of Life says, I have been monitoring Bitfinex constantly as part of my trading plan. The amount of selling on here today is more than I've seen since February. So, you're saying that there's more selling going on Bitfinex than any day since February. Well, looking at the price of Bitcoin, I definitely don't see that. I mean, just looking at the volume, this is just really low momentum volume. This is just lazy consolidation with a slight uptick. Crypto Kibo says Pundi is dirt cheap. Yeah, no reason to buy something because it's dirt cheap. That is not an investment thesis. You buy something when it's bullish. I think greed will overwhelm what's going on unless price goes way down. No one will want to remove their money if alts are pamping. Wolf of Wall Street is my mentors. Andrew says, isn't MDR noise? If it's within X% of asking price, can a lot of that, especially large orders, be spoofed? Yes, but that doesn't mean that the MDR doesn't generate good signals, actually. And when you're looking at things like, ironic Killa, thanks so much for the follow on Twitch, my good friend. When you're looking at spot exchanges, that spoofing becomes a little less likely. Thank you, All Infinity. Yeah, I did quite a bit of work last night on my volume setup. A lot of it was getting the equalizer right and positioning the microphone where it needs to go. Bitcoin is more regulated by governments when you sell than when you buy. There's no incentive to turn it back to fiat when you pay a 40% tax on it. You got that right, man. Is the only place to use the MDR going to be at the very far right? Yeah, I mean, so on the very far right of the screen here for vcdepth.io, you can actually see right here. All right, so this bottom value right here, this gets updated, I believe it's every minute. This gets updated every minute, whereas I believe this gets updated every 30 minutes. So you can just watch for this to switch from bullish to bearish to generate your signal. What's the minimum price when you can make a profit off Ether? I don't understand what that means. Because it all seems like hindsight if we look at the middle of the chart days prior. Right. But what I'm trying to tell you is that they do generate good signals, or at least what I found is that they generate good signals if you take a counterintuitive approach and buy when there's more limit sell orders and sell when there's more limit buy orders. You're not going to buy the top, you're not going to sell the bottom, or you're not going to buy the bottom and sell the top, and you're not going to sell the top and buy the bottom. But Iron Killer says, damn, I missed mining. Such a fun hobby. Mine, then trade with Mine Money, Profit XD. Zuhair Naki, thanks so much for the $2, brother. Major pullback before or after a 4-day edge to edge. Again, I'm not going to try and call the top of a bull market, man. What I will say is that that is an asymmetric risk to reward ratio. Just like shorting that 3-day edge to edge trade was a good trade. It was a good trade, but we have to, the idea of, we had a significant correction after that. I mean, you would have made a tidy profit, but the trend didn't reverse. So, again, we have to remember that we're trading against a dominant trend. Anytime you're looking for an area, as long as price is above the baseline, we are in a extremely bullish trend. Now, corrections down to the baseline are fine, but there's still, trend following strategy would tell you, you don't fucking short that movement, man. Period. You buy the pullback, right? You look for the pullback. You wait for the pullback to bottom out. You look for areas of support and you buy, because on average, you have a better chance of making money when price is in a bullish trend. The price will go up. Whereas if you try to short the market, although you might catch a good movement, you run the risk of, basically trading against the steam train. Yeah, XRP boys waking up hard, man. They died for a while. Link in Pundi X and TRX. We'll take a look at those. So let's update the schedule. And Trex. Isn't Binance closing trading the perfect setup for a whale to liquidate longs overnight to accumulate and let the FOMO buy the dip right back up? Right, but the ability, Binance has been closed for like a week. So the reality is, Crypto Destroyer, thanks for liking my CC EMA script on TradingView. The reality is that the ability of whales to actually push price down has been very limited. Big up to this dude, Satoshi. Thank you so much, Mr. Satoshi. What do I think of Omisago USD? It's probably bullish, because I'm bullish on altcoins right now, but we'll take a look. Johnny Cash just opened a long position on Cardano. We'll take a look at Cardano. I trade the graveyard shift in Narcotics Anonymous. Nice. I like it. We got about 12 minutes before the break. So what we're going to do, is we're going to go to Bitcoin. All right. So what are the important levels below us that need to hold? All right. So we're on the Bitstamp chart right now. And I've done, I updated my chart just a little bit, and I'm going to continue to do this as we move forward, because this is the chart that I generally display. This is the chart that we spend a lot of time in on the stream that I want to, talk about and identify these critical levels. So let's look at our last trading range, right? And our last trading range really stretches, it's a wide one, but it stretches from 5,027 to 6,135, right? So we've got some important levels to talk about when it comes to this range. Now, what is 5818 to 6135? And this is going to be our first range right here. And we're actually going to go ahead and draw a happy little box right here, right? We're going to draw a happy little box right here. Okay. Now, what is this range? This is now a bullish breaker. So let's go back in time. So we see this right here is the lowest down candle in the 2018 market structure that formed the bottom of price. So this was support. And you can see that once that bottom was formed, right? Once that bottom was formed, it acted as support once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, right? So when this is a bullish order block. When a bullish order block is formed, you have limit orders in the bullish order block always, and then you have a stop loss slightly below it. And once you see, or, ideally, if you're not using a hard stop, you're waiting for a candle close, a strong candle close, something like mostly an unshaven candle, to close below that level and invalidate that as support, right? Once that happens, that area becomes resistance. Savior, or Savior, Thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube, my good friend. Happy little trees. So this area is a bullish order block. You can see here on November 13th, 2018, you closed below it with very little resistance. This area now becomes a bearish breaker, right? And just as we can see multiple examples of bearish breakers over time, right? Here was one right here. So we have an area that was the top of the market cycle right here. That level is broken above. So let's do an example right here. Pull this out. And we will denote this bullish breaker right here. Okay. This is a bearish order block. Why? Because the market reverses and you form lower highs, lower lows. And then you break above that level with very little resistance. You immediately do a BPC back to that zone, test it as support, and you push off, right? And as we can see over here, this is exactly where the market bottomed in 2018. So we topped out at the end of 2017. Never forget, December 17th, 2017. And then over the course of about, I'd say about 2 months, we bottomed all the way down to the 7,000. Actually hit a low of, what was the low? 60? The low was 66? No. The low was 59.20. So 6,000 is the common number, the common parlance that's thrown around. But you can actually see that this is exactly where it bottoms out, right? The bullish order block, right? This bullish breaker, right? So bullish breakers, the strategy behind trading breakers is that they're really good on the first pass through. You have limit orders there, and you go, all right? Now, so we just talked about a bearish order block, so something that's the top of the market cycle that is closed above, and if price comes back, that's a bullish breaker. So similarly for a bullish order block, when price closes below, that becomes a bearish breaker, right? Obviously, we can see this area did throw up initial rejection. It was actually a good short here. It was a good short here. And then price just gave no fucks. That's why I say bearish breakers, really good on the first pass through. Second pass through, if price starts climbing up into the breaker, it is potentially a breakout if all the other stars align. You're looking at breakout potential. When price on low momentum and low volatility creeps toward resistance, that is bullish. When price blasts right at resistance, that's generally a good short. Because often that's late stage buying. That's a lot of liquidity pushing up. That shows a lot of people are excited to buy at the top. And then when you have that hot spot, which is a level of resistance, that's going to be an attractive area for market movers to just sell right into, right? Just sell right into. Plus, you're also going to be compounded by the fact that whenever you have a massive candle like this, I mean, that's a take profit candle. That's a take profit candle, right? So not only do you have the fact that you're smashing up into resistance, but when you move up on such high volatility like that, not only are you going to have people trying to short sell, but you're also going to have people that bought somewhere and they're going to be like, man, I'm taking some profit right now. And that's going to push the market down. People selling or taking profit moves the market down, right? And so regardless of what price did up here, you can see that this is profit taking, right? People sold here, right? And so buying here was not a good idea in the long run. Now it depends on your setup or your time frame, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the area that needs to hold, because when a bullish breaker or when a bearish breaker is broken, it becomes a bullish breaker, right? So that area stretches from 58.18, 61.35. A pullback to this zone would be fairly violent. What I would actually think would be more likely is, let's get out the brush. Sorry. There it is, sorry. What I actually think would be more likely is when and if and wherever we do end up topping and having a correction, I would actually expect low volatility down somewhere to the level of our EMA 13, right? So actually, let's move that up just a little bit. So somewhere right around there. Now, knowing Bitcoin, I wouldn't be surprised to see some monster wicks down into this zone, right? So this is where you want to have some limit orders to buy. For me anyways. I'll just talk about myself. You guys do whatever the fuck you want, but this is what I'm doing, right? Because what I would expect is for the daily baseline to hold. Should the daily baseline hold, that would be quite beautiful. We'll go to the weekly here in just a little bit to talk about this as well. But I wouldn't be surprised to see some monster wicks down in this area. And if price ends up holding this area, that is quite bullish. And again, we're getting close to the area where it's potential to call a confirmed bull market. Now, again, I will not call a confirmed bull market on the initial rally. We haven't had a pullback yet. A bull market is not made on the initial rally out of consolidation, right? I don't care how many uneducated people, how many people that have only traded cryptocurrency want to talk about anything or how this is different or blah, 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 blah. Market structure isn't different, right? You've had one powerful rally. Now let's see how it handles on the correction. Okay. I'm not saying the correction's coming right now. I'm just saying, but when the correction comes, we'll see how price holds up to that correction, right? We'll see if the bulls can hold a strong level of support. And if they can, that'll be very important. Of course, we've talked about the technical indications of when the bull market is as far as my eyes see, because the last time for me, again, there's all this like daily golden crosses suck. They're too slow. What for me confirms a bull market? Well, we've talked about it before. When we get a EMA 13 and EMA 55 on the weekly chart crossover, price pulls back and holds the EMA 13. That's exactly what called the bull market the last time. And then in general, price holds that level of the EMA 13 all the way up the bullish cycle, right? So where do we have those levels coming in at right now on the weekly time frame, which is the most likely area of support, honestly, if we have a steep correction. So let's say, scenario one is quite bullish, right? Where we actually just have a minor, like lazy pullback, sellers take control, we hit a level of support, and then we have some big wicks to the downside, right? But we don't see like really significant closing below those levels of daily support or the daily baseline. Okay, that's fine. That's very bullish, right? What would be more likely, to be quite honest with you, if we have a more violent rejection, right? If we have a more violent pullback, and we do end up coming back down below and breaking the bullish breaker at this point in time, then most likely we run into this zone currently right now. Now likely by the time that price actually makes its way back down here, these EMAs will be up here. So the retest of the weekly 13 would actually most likely occur at a higher level, at which case we can disregard these levels moving forward, but we will plot them out for what they are at this current point in time until they are no longer valid. And at some point in time, if the market ever returns to these levels, they will become important once again. What is this level right here? Well, it's obviously daily equilibrium below the trading, between the trading range. So if we go to the daily, we can talk about that. But we notice the confluence here on the weekly chart of our moving average crossover, which for me denotes really the beginning of the bull market, but not on the initial crossover. After the pullback and retest and holding of that weekly baseline, right? So we need the pullback before we can actually confirm a bull market, because you haven't seen a situation with all of this buying that's been going on where we see some significant profit taking or a strong attempt at people to short sell the market. That will happen and they will be successful. What we need to see is how far price goes down, because then if price can hold that level, things become quite good. Vitam and Pandero, Vero, thank you so much for the $20 super chat, my good friend. Shout out to you, brother, man. As always, it's good to have you in the chat. You're one of the good ones, as always, man. He says, keep up the good work. I'm trying, man. I'm trying really hard. Thank you, brother. Listen, guys, never feel like you have to donate or anything like that. It always humbles me. It makes me feel gives me the warm fuzzlies, man. Thank you so much, brother. How will you cope throwing up the Bob Ross? Waltu Disu says, what dup, y'all? I'm back. What did I miss? Has my BitConnect mooned yet? But I thought this time it's different. Yes, it's mooned just a little bit, brother. Okay, so we've got nice confluence coming in there. Again, those levels are going to be 53.88 to 55.31. And if we go to the daily, we can see why those levels are important as well. So let's zoom in on this a little bit. And as we can see, this is similarly, just the, I'd like to say it's the equilibrium of the range, which you can make the argument that it is, because if you look at this as a trading range, if you denote the bearish breaker as really the top of the range, or really this green line right here, which denotes resistance before entering into what is the origin of this impulsive move to the upside, well, it's really right here. Once we broke the resistance at 58.18, right? You can see that, we were having resistance from that line, and then once we closed into the $5,900 area, it was just straight up from there, right? It was just straight up from there. So what's the origin of the impulsive movement? It's this candle right here. All of this between that is just fairly lazy compared to this massive skyrocketing movement. Loot Patient, thank you so much for the sub on YouTube. So this would be the equilibrium of the range if you're denoting the range high and the range low, so resistance, support. This level is pretty much the equilibrium. You could make the argument that it could be a little lower, a little higher, but when we're talking about price action, I'm allowed to use my own subjectivity because these are the levels that are important to me. Also, this is an important level of breakout. As we can see, this is the top of a candle that led to a slight shift in market structure. Not as important because did it lead to a series of lower lows and lower highs? No, it did not. So this is just a consolidation range where I'm looking for a breakout. But again, I understand you can make the same argument about this candle and you can make the same argument about this candle. So bear with me on this one. But I find that I like the weekly confluence coming in there quite nicely. The other level that is the least likely level for us to touch, but is potential, we're not going to take it off the table, is going to be 5160 to 5027. Now, why is that? Because that is previous support. We've actually, now one thing that I would say is that if we do go this low, we would see wicks lower, and it's still bullish if we hold this level. From a psychological perspective, not necessarily a technical perspective. So we'd actually be in the short sell, but again, optimistically, enthusiastically, we'd be like, well, we're holding 5,000, so just wave our little flags of support. No, but technically we would be in a short position long before that, because once you break the daily baseline, you look for short sells, right? You look for short sells once you break the daily baseline, as long as all your other indicators are lining up as well. But we're just using these areas not necessarily to trade off of, but to look for where is price likely to go on a pullback, and what do we need to see from that level to switch our position from short to long. Again, the trend needs to shift back up to the bullish side. So we don't trade these. There's no reason to, because the failure rate is so high. Again, I've talked about people calling the markets and calling the bottom. So it's different when people are saying the market will absolutely definitely reverse here and turn here. I'm talking about areas that are interesting that I want to keep my eye on, right? And if we see a good reaction and a signal from that area, then we'll potentially take a trade, right? So anyways, any hoosers. But yeah, this level of support has not been significantly tested on a steep pullback. It held quite nicely on these small pullbacks that we had back in that lower to mid $5,000 range. But if we do go this low, I would expect these lows to get taken out, right? I would expect these lows to get taken out and actually see a wick down to that $4,500 area. So, all right, so we've talked about the downside. Let's talk about the upside, baby. Okay. So let's look at a couple interesting areas of liquidity. Let's look at some psychological levels. Obviously, this area right here above this local high, and this area right here above this local high. And let's also start talking about these order blocks as well. All right, let's start talking about these order blocks. Boom, right there. So let's start talking about the upside. Where do we potentially have resistance? Where could we potentially turn around? Well, again, like I said yesterday, we're in a wide order block, right? And I know, the reason you don't want to have so many gosh darn lines on your chart is it just becomes kind of frustrating. Because again, you had these levels right here. I don't think these highs in retrospect are actually that significant. And you can see that we didn't really give, well, we did actually. You can see that we actually did face a little bit of resistance at this local high, which is logical. So a lot of people saw that same line on the chart, that same level. And if we go forward in time, we can actually see, yes, that was a good short sell, right? Did generate some good profit, right? You could have sold there. Price did go all the way down there. So that was actually a really good trade, but that level has now been invalidated. So what is the levels that we're dealing with right now? 8,037. 7,712 to 8,496. That is the order block that we're currently trading in right now. Conservative approach would tell you that if we do close below 7,712, you need to be looking for a little bit more of a significant pullback to take the trade to the upside. The short trade for me is not necessarily on the table yet. Because we're still quite bullish. Again, a pullback at this point in time does seem likely, but again, we had this same structure on yesterday's candle, and we had the up thrust and continuation. So let's see how the daily closes. Again, it's going to take a few days for me to say that anything. You're still kind of looking for any and all opportunity to take a long. Does that mean the long is necessarily at these price levels? No. And what is the upper boundary of that resistance? 8,496. Getting a strong close above those levels. The train just continues on until 9,670, 99.48, right? Now, I do find it highly unlikely to break these levels right here without a pullback. And honestly, I find it hard to break these levels without a pullback, but we'll see what the market actually brings us, right? Again, do not be the guy in a bull market calling the top. Do not be the guy in the bear market calling the bottom. With that being said, when we come back, we're going to look at some lower time frames as well as your requests, guys. Thank you so much for watching us today. We're not going anywhere, but we're going to take a brief break so I can grab some water because I am quite parched, guys. I need some water. Don't you guys need some water? Take a break, go do some push-ups, maybe a few squats, do some calisthenics, guys. Let's see here. Don't be the wick. You're gosh darn right. Let's see here. And also, if you guys would like to help us out a little bit while we're taking a brief break, you guys can head over to topg.crackingcryptocurrency.com, right? It's just a fun little Discord ranking server Give us an upvote over there. It doesn't cost you a dime. You don't even have to register an account. We could, by all rights, throw 1,000 bots at it. Throw 1,000 bots at it to just spam the upvote button for us. But we believe in fair play and competition, guys. So if you guys want to come over here, you just click this little button, vote for us, pushes it up in the Discord servings. We're in a fierce competition with a Minecraft Minecat server right now. So let's show those 13-year-olds who's boss, baby. All right, guys, we'll be right back. And if you got any more requests, again, I don't think I'm going to be able to take more than what I've got. We're going to look at Link, Pundix, Tron, Omizago, USD, and Cardano, as well as Aetherium. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Okay, thank you to anybody who went over to topg.crackencryptocurrency.com and gave us an upvote. Highly appreciated as always. Let's get back over here and see any comments, my good friend. And again, frustration and dreams in the ZERP community. El Capo Jr. says, thank you. Thank you, sir. Professor X, no. Professor Crypto says, Crypto Gearly. Bitcoin now again over $8,000. Preparing for the next leg. It is highly possible. Howie Green says, I'll donate a wig for you, Baldy. I kind of like it just the way it is, you know? Alessandro says, one of the best crypto channels. Thank you so much, Alessandro. First and Last says, we can win, team. 2-hour candle just closed. Looks good. Looks great. I think some market makers and exchanges are working together to make this market go up because they benefit more, obviously, but they should be running out of funds in the next couple days. I think there's genuine people buying. Honestly, I said that will love gimmick that shit, put it on a shirt, make money off of it. Oh, honestly, I said that with love. Put it on a t-shirt, make money off of it. Bald people are smart people. You don't know what's in the pickle barrel until you get the lid off from it. FDC12, thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube, my good friend. S&P money into BTC? It would seem that way on just a casual analysis, yes. What's your view on the this is just a tether pump argument people throw around? I actually went over that quite in depth right at the beginning of the show. Give you the cliff notes right here. There's a very interesting Reddit article that I recommend you go check out. I'll actually drop that in the chat right now. I realize I didn't actually put that in the chat. But anyways, the takeaways for this were the idea that Bitfinex and Tether are doing anything other than shitting their pants and trying not to go to jail and committing wide-scale market fraud while currently under investigation by the New York Attorney General's office is highly unlikely. Would I agree that we're right now below a historical weekly equilibrium block from March 2018? No, not really. The reason why is because a block on the time frame that you're looking at needs to lead to a shift in market structure. So a block is only a block if it's the last down candle before a shift in market structure. So this candle, even though it is the lowest candle in this low or in this cycle right here, does not lead to a shift in market structure. Because on the weekly time frame, you have a series of higher or lower highs, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, and lower lows, lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. So although it is an area that you could denote as support and resistance, it's not a block. It's not a weekly block. It is a daily block. We are trading within a daily block because we did have daily lower lows and higher highs. Just one really, but that still counts. The most significant blocks are this one, which we broke past here, which I denoted as this one down here because that was actually the lowest. And honestly, this one, the block up in the $18,000 region. $10,000 this week. People like round numbers. Naruto Uzumaki says, I'm sorry. Tomcat says, sent you a tip through Brave Browser. Thank you so much, man. I highly appreciate that. Walter Desu says, what are the basics for understanding the Esmalol WADA? I'll actually make a video on the WADA Atar. When the area is green, that's bullish and showing bullish momentum. When it is red, it's showing bearish momentum. When it's light green, that means that the momentum is higher than the previous candle. When the bar is light gray, or excuse me, light gray and dark gray. Dark gray denotes lower bullish momentum. Same with light red and dark red. The explosion level line is yellow if it's rising up, which is generally good, and bearish if it's moving down. And actually, it has nothing to do with bullish or bearishness. The explosion line indicates the average of momentum. So it is a volume oscillator. It can give entry and exit signals as far as entry and exit. What you're looking for is, hold on a second. What you're looking for is for the explosion line to be curling up or yellow, and then for price to trade above, for a column to be green or gray in this example, and trade above the explosion level. Now, that's only one method of strategy building. There have to be other components in your system, but that is a signal. That's a signal to go long. Similarly, if you get a red line, if you get a red bar above the explosion level and the explosion level line is red, that is a signal to go short. Gary Morgan says, you and Crown are the best on YouTube. Thank you, man. I highly appreciate that. What do I think of the order block from 82.43 to 79.90, taking price action before and after the 20K top? BitMEX exchange prices. Let's see here. What do I think of the order block from 79.90 to 82.43? $79.90. I don't really see an order block from 79.90. Yeah, I don't see it, man. I see this one. Which is the order block we're currently trading into. And that is going to be 81.20 to 83.90. Or sorry, it's wider. 77.20 to 83.91. And that's where we currently find ourselves. Naruto Uzumaki, why do I focus on YouTube and not on trading? So I'm up at about 6 o'clock every morning and I trade for 4 hours. And honestly, when I say I trade for 4 hours, I put in positions and then I manage them. So Not sure what you mean by that. JF Airplane says, finally, after 6 to 8 messages, you zoom out your BTC chart and it's now clear. You're welcome. I went back to your CC WADA. The individual bars feel more comfortable to me. That's fine. David Meislinger says, I don't find the 2 indicators you have enabled in TradingView. Well, that's because one is proprietary, and the other one, you just need to type in and search for WADA Atar Explosion. And it's right here. WADA Atar Explosion by S. Malal, created by Oberon 2007. So because the market is 24/7, that means I have to trade 24/7. I'm not allowed to sleep, I guess, in your world. Matt Dandurand. No, I draw order blocks on just the body. I do not look at the wicks. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought this was America. Or I could do whatever the hell I want, whenever the hell I want, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else. Hey, no problem, LTD2. All right, let's get into Ethereum. Let's talk about the levels for Ethereum. Now, again, we've got a bullish breaker on Ethereum as well, coming from 180.74 to 174.91. I actually feel better about Ethereum than Bitcoin right now. The Ethereum chart, again, as it often is, much cleaner, much more concise. We have this nice breakout. It's led so far to, including the breakout candle, 1, 2, 3, 4 days of bullish volatility. With Bitcoin, if we actually go back to the Bitcoin chart, we actually see that lasted for about a week upon the breakout above resistance. Now, again, Ethereum attempting to catch out. Here's that initial break into resistance that really led. Where was the origin of the movement here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and pullback on the 7th day. And on the 7th day, God rested and said, hey, we need to have a pullback. So, unless we have a significant amount of selling increase. And these top wicks, so far, they have not succeeded in suppressing price and reversing the trend of price. So similarly, quite similar to the Bitcoin chart, we have the range high, or we have the bullish breaker, which is a breaker now. It was a bearish order block broken above with very little resistance. We also have confluence on the daily 13 exponential moving average there as well, our daily baseline. We have some confluence for the range EQ here. All right. We have the range EQ here, which again is also a support resistance flip. Why? Because we have the support, we have the level that was hunted, which conforms quite nicely to our previous order block as well, or at least the lower boundary of our bearish order block that again here was broken on very little resistance. So again, that order block once revisited into is a buying opportunity, right? So again, whenever you have an order block that reverses the market, whenever you have a shift in market structure from lower highs to higher lows, et cetera, then when that level gets broken on very little resistance, you look to buy that area, generally. So pretty simple here, range high, range low, equilibrium. The equilibrium obviously is a level of support. This level right here represents the hunt that occurred to take out stop losses below these equal lows. This low, this low, this low, this low, all of them got hunted on this movement down, which actually just pushed us down into the lower range of this bullish order, of this bullish breaker, right? Because it was broken here, becomes a bullish breaker, buys in that zone led, and then we reestablish support. So 160, 105 to 157.65 form the support resistance flip area or the range EQ, right? Which is the most likely area. Just if we go back to the Bitcoin chart, when we talk about the trading range, where are the levels to hold there likely? Similarly, we also have the hunted area, 153.24, 147.23. Now, what are the likelihoods that we reach this area and are bullish? Again, they're good for buys, liquidity grabs below. But again, same as we're talking about these levels of resistance that we've traded into previously. Have they been strong enough to reverse the price? No, they haven't. So short trades can and have been taken from them. Again, just if you go back on the price of Bitcoin, and this is something, the difference between momentum trend and what's actually going on. If we look at the price of Bitcoin, none of these resistance levels, for example, have been sufficient enough to suppress the price of Bitcoin to stop it. Now, as we just talked about with this breaker right here, the most significant breaker that was on the chart, short trades from that area were profitable. They were profitable here, here, here. And then once price breaks up into that resistance level, you're no longer looking to take shorts from that area. Your resistance level has officially been invalidated, right? Because again, price creeping up into resistance on low momentum and volatility, that's bullish. Same thing with Ethereum as well. The resistance levels, the order blocks that we've traded into here, they've been very good for short trades. But did it reverse the trend? No, it did not. No, it did not. Dun, 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 dun. ZERP is a flaming car wreck at the moment. So, and where do we have confluence as well? We have confluence at the range EQ currently with our secondary daily baseline. We have our most significant level of confluence at the bullish breaker between 180.74 and 174.91. So, as always, where do you have limit buy orders when you're in a strong trend? You have limit buy orders in the vicinity of your daily baseline. And especially now that we have confluence with a bullish breaker, there you go. If Bitcoin pulls back significantly, it drags Ethereum down as well. No, you would think so, yeah, but not always. Bitcoin took off, Ethereum waited, Bitcoin consolidated, Ethereum moved. ZERP is under siege again by the Romans. Let's go take a look. But before we do that, let's go take a look at some interesting things. Let's take a look at the total crypto market cap. Look at the total crypto market cap on the daily. And where are we trading into? Trading into the bearish breaker, right? This was a bullish order block. We double bottomed. It was broken here with little resistance, acted as resistance on the back test right here. And that's exactly where we find ourselves with the total crypto market cap. So what does this represent? It represents an area of taking profit. Let's go ahead and look at our pullback zones. All right. I mean, this is identical to the chart of Bitcoin, right? You've got the exact same thing. You've got your breakout zone. You've got range EQ. You've got your low areas. You've got confluence with your 55 EMA. You've got confluence with your 13 EMA. You've got confluence with your daily baseline and your secondary daily baseline. All right. So again, when you're in a bullish trend, you don't look to be the guy who's calling the top of a bullish market, and you don't look to be the guy calling the bottom of a bearish market, right? Pullbacks are opportunities to buy for an expected leg up. And if the trend shifts by invalidating the daily baseline, then you look for trades to the downside. And you use your support and resistance levels as guidance for when you should be on the alert to be exiting your positions to the upside. So on the daily, On the daily right here, we're actually getting short-term rejection, or doesn't matter if it's short-term, but we're getting rejection currently from the daily baseline, throwing up a 3-hour sell signal again. These have been good opportunities to catch short-term reversals in the market, still holding a 3-hour level of equilibrium. We really need to lose at least this level before anybody starts to look for, in my opinion, a short position. But again, your own levels of analysis, your own style of trading is going to be fine. But individuals who try to raw reverse the market typically don't do too well. The failure rate is staggeringly high. So total crypto market cap at resistance currently right now. Let's look at the altcoin market cap and how it's performing. Daily baseline, we exploded over resistance, right? So this is the altcoin market cap, exploded over resistance, right? Same level right here, exploded over resistance. What does this level become now? This level becomes a bullish breaker. Oops, that's not the color I want. What's the next level of resistance for the altcoin market cap? Up here at the previous order block. So we'll see. This is the area to look at dips right now. Let's look at where our momentum is. Momentum looks quite good. Momentum looks quite good. Again, even though you can't directly trade this chart, this is just a direction of sentiment. So sentiment looks good for the altcoin market cap right now. Longs to shorts, longs dropping, shorts rising on Bitcoin, and looking at dominance. This is what actually predicated my position yesterday, was seeing this staggering drop in Bitcoin dominance right here. Let's stay on the 3-hour. Now again, we've had these big drops. We've had these big drops in Bitcoin dominance before. Always resurges back up. So let's see now. This is slightly different, right? Because in this example, in the previous examples, we lost, this is the 3-hour chart, we lost the 3-hour baseline and then immediately bounced back up, right? Immediately reclaimed the 3-hour baseline. You see it here. We lost the 3-hour baseline here, immediately reclaimed. We lost the 3-hour baseline here, immediately reclaimed. We lost the 3-hour baseline here, and we weren't able to reclaim it. In fact, rejecting, back testing as resistance and pushing down. So this would actually be bearish for Bitcoin, at least in the short term, and bullish for altcoins. Well, you can't necessarily denote whether this is bullish or bearish for altcoins. It is bearish for Bitcoin. That's all it leads as an indicator. Now, you can use it as a sentiment indicator to say that money is flowing out of Bitcoin, but all it means is that the market cap is shifting from Bitcoin dominance, right? So it's not actually going to help you pick out what stock's going to do well and what stock's not. Or excuse me, what crypto is going to do well and what crypto's not. SP 500 index recovering nicely, but again, not really. I mean, this is still a very strong bearish trend. Let's see where we close the daily, all right? Let's see where we close the daily. Because every resurgence that we've had after this drop on the 30th of April, every resurgence that we've had has closed above the daily baseline and immediately sold back off. Closed above the baseline and sold back off. Closed above. So let's look where we are on the daily because that's what's most important. Yeah, the daily looks terrible. I mean, look at that, right? Where was your, I mean, if you're just doing the MA crossover, where was your signal to go long? Here, boom. You get daily sell signals telling you to take profit here, here, and here. And now we've closed below the daily baseline. We've entered into a bearish trend. We fall below the daily baseline, don't really back test it as support. It catches up. We reject from it, close below our secondary baseline, and now we're currently testing it, but rejecting. This looks terrible for stocks right now. Let's look what's going on with CMEs. A little bit of rounding out at the top. Let's actually throw up our 3-hour signals here. Here we go. Nothing to do yet. Just a pullback so far. GBDC pulling back as well on the 3-hour. Did a nice gap up. Does have this gap to fill all the way down to I would say 861. But potentially we don't fill the gap all the way. Find support on the 3-hour baseline. Hallam Hope, thank you so much for the subscription on YouTube. And Acrobatics, Killicraig, thank you guys so much for these subscriptions on YouTube, my good friend. So GBDC pulling back, CME futures pulling back, longs dropping off, shorts rising, S&P index rejecting from resistance, Bitcoin dominance dropping, and total crypto market cap at resistance, altcoin market cap moving up. This is short-term bearish for Bitcoin, especially if we go over here to price action, we can see right now. Now, again, we'll see how the daily closes because we've had candles like this react and continue to push higher. This just happened on Ethereum not too long ago. 12-hour chart, throwing up the 12-hour sell signal. Where's our first level of support? At least on the 12-hour. Down here to 70.65. Three-hour chart as well. About to give a signal as well. Closing below here, we could take the trade down to 69.48. Or excuse me, 69.84 on the 3-hour chart as well. So we'll see what happens. Everybody who's been really quick to short Bitcoin generally hasn't done too well. I will say that this is slightly different. We are quite above the 3-hour baseline here after some significant Wicks City action. So yeah, you can definitely see the momentum dropping off. You can definitely see the momentum dropping off. I'm going to be rich. I do okay. I'm able to provide my family with a comfortable lifestyle. I'm able to do what I want when I want, for the most part. And I'm able to work with some of the best people that I've ever met in my life. And I'm able to actively work with people and mentor them in how to stop, trading in inefficient ways. It's not often that you get to trade. It's not often that you get to trade a currency that you think fundamentally will change the world. It's not often that you actually get to help people, and it's not often that you can also be independent. So I'm very blessed, man. Thank you, Donnie Don. Highly appreciate it, my good brother. Web Dev says people were talking 6K resistance, but 8K looking like the real resistance they were thinking of. I still can't grow hair, though. I can, it just doesn't look good. It's like... Thank you, Vitam. Thank you, brother. Go short on the S&P, put a tight stop, and buy the inverse ticker, SPXS. Yeah, so go short and buy the underlying, yeah. Talking about hedging up. You scale into the position that's successful, and you scale out of the position that's not. Seems like TradingView did some updates overnight, and so I'm going to have to go and redo the charts that I haven't utilized today. This actually should be fairly easy, because all I have to do is this, and this, and this, and this, and this. So Bitcoin pairings still look like trash, guys. Bitcoin pairings still look like trash. USDT pairings continue to look very good. That's why we took them. Well, thank you, Naruto. Your charts only robots can read. I designed it that way. No, they're not too bad, man. I think my charts are quite easy. We just have to maximize them. Right? You just have to actually see what we're looking at, right? It's pretty simple, man. I keep it pretty basic. Because the downside of a web-based platform, you can't reject update. Oh man, tell me about it, Ryan. TradingView does such whack-noodle stuff, and I didn't realize this till we were doing the. Well, I realized it beforehand, but we were doing that. We were doing the mentoring session the other night on Sunday evenings, as we do in the group, and a lot of the questions that I was getting from some of the new guys in the group was, "Hey, man, how do I do this on TradingView, and how do I do this on TradingView?" And I was like, "All right, well, we need an educational video to sort out the nuances of TradingView's BS." What would I say to someone who is holding various alts without getting into the TA of each coin, trying to organize the portfolio? Would you say that the alt market is getting ready for a pump? No, I would not say that. I do not say that because I do not attempt to predict the future. I'm not an investor. I'm a trader, right? That means I hold a liquid pair, I hold Bitcoin or USD, and I move in and out. I'm not interested in buying and holding returns. I'm just not, right? Just not. So I'm not going to give you any, I can't give you any advice on how to balance your portfolio, on what coins to buy, on what coins are going to pump. I only trade based off of TA. That's all I trade off of. I don't need to look, I don't look at news. I don't look at sentiment. I mean, sometimes I do just to talk about it, right? Or just have a general idea of how the market's going. I like to have a fundamental basis for my investment thesis. But in general, I execute trades based on technical analysis because I've devised a strategy that over time generates results. And it's just robotic. It's like a game of casino, man. You put the odds in your favor and you put the statistical probability in your favor. So, what coins do I hold? I hold Bitcoin. I have some investments. I have some of our, I have some coins and stuff that I think is neat. Like I got a lot of basic attention token. I think basic attention token's really neat. I really like them. I have X42. I have Spectre Security Coin. I have 0Z. I have MMO Coin. So those are all projects that I really like and like the guys. So I have it. Let's see here, and I've got some Aetherium. And that's it. That's all I hold. Crypto House, what's going on, man? Casper Silbig Johansson. The reason for the headline? I don't know. My editor put it up there. Because we had a massive altcoin pump. Bitfinex raised $1 billion, and we're talking about what you need to know about this crypto rally. Supposedly Bitfinex raised $1 billion. All we have is their word to go off of. All right, so let's get into the requests, guys. We got Link, MPSX, Trex, Omisago, and Cardenio. And to do that, we're going to go over here. All right, we talked about Ziliqua USDT being a good buy yesterday. Turned out to be a good buy. Let's look at Link USDT. Chuetna Hanabishi day. Nope. Need a pullback, man. The time to buy Link was right here. Right here. That's when, I know you guys can't see it and you guys don't understand it, but I'm pretty consistent about what I say. This is exactly when my strategy fired to go long. PT crosses 0, Wadatar confirms, trading above the daily baseline. That's it. Sell signal. So looking at Link right now on the daily. Higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low. Here. or here. There's the market structure. Low, high, low, high. Yep. Okay, so that makes sense. It's already been tapped, though. So we've got this order block right here. Oh, it hasn't really been tagged. Hasn't really been tagged. You're going to have confluence here in a couple days with your 55 EMA. So if you're looking for pullbacks, again, where do you always have pullbacks? On your daily time frame, around your daily baseline. This is a little bit below your daily baseline, basically looking for this low to get taken out and for this consolidation area to be retapped between 58 and 55 cents. And that is a take profit candle. Time transformation, Wada Atar, and the baseline, Midwest attempts. So let's see here. Yeah, so link on the daily, nothing to be done here. That would be late stage buying. Good opportunity to take some profit. 12-hour chart, you actually had a re-entry signal right here, which is pretty good. This is a continuation cross. All cylinders firing, so you would have got it on this movement on the 8-hour, on the 12-hour. Let's see. 8-hour, you also had that continuation cross right here as well, so that would have got you into the move as well. Let's see here. Three-hour might have you do a re-entry on a pullback for an SR flip. So you see how price reacts to around the 72-cent level. You got some confluence there on your 3-hour with your 3-hour baselines. So that'd be a likely zone of pullback. That was quite a bit of volume on that candle, though. Yeah, that's a big volume spike. Generally, you get a market pullback right there. So just wait for price to bottom out. And for me anyways, you got to wait for your indicators to reset. At least the 8-hour. The 8-hour is going to turn, most likely. Now, you can, if you want, go for the breakout trade. There's quite a volatility on the daily. So what do you need for the daily? Well, you're down at 30-minute VWAP. The time frame doesn't matter. VWAP's always the same, but sorry. You're down at your VWAP, and you're below the point of control. So again, quite similarly. Where's your breakout zone? Look for price to climb back up to 84.88. Be careful for that swing failure pattern, because if you're predicating a bullish trade, you don't want the swing failure pattern, right? Where you form a high, you're going to form a low. You push up here, which seems likely you will probably form a lower high. And where's your stop loss? Your stop loss goes wherever your low is. Okay? So if it doesn't break out, then it's a swing failure pattern and you're going to move lower. So that's what I'd be looking for Link. Nothing that I really want to touch, to be honest, for you right now. The chart doesn't look as clean, doesn't look as healthy. Now, am I saying that you need to sell your entire position if you're in Link? No. Take some profit, move your stop loss to break even. Because we got the signal on Link a while ago, right? We got the signal on Link a while ago. So now you need to wait for your indicators to reset. Hey, it's all good, Midwest. Yeah, time transformation's proprietary. Quadrigo ATR, which is our stop and target system, that's proprietary. Wada Atar Explosion, which actually, bam. A Wada Atar Explosion is, you can find that on TradingView. One of the viewers of our channel actually made a little bit better one than mine. So you just type Wada Atar, and it's this one right here by Esmalal. I actually have one as well if you go to my TradingView channel. But I think his is better. But, somebody just said that they liked mine better. So again, if you want to check his out, mine out. I will be, in the future, I'm going to be doing a full update on Wada Atar. And it's not my indicator, right? It's just, it didn't work on altcoin, so I made a slight modification to the code that allowed it to work on altcoins. So, but yeah. And if you or anybody would like access to those indicators or those tools, as well as the strategy building course to learn how to use it and build something of your own, you guys can check the link at the top of the screen. You get access to our private Discord. You get all of our custom indicators. You get access to our strategy building course, Pathways to Profit. You get access to our trade setups. You get access to mentorship, our live chats, and the database, man. I just added a lot of stuff to that. Position size calculators, average size calculators, average cost calculators, personalized blockfolio. A lot of time spent. A lot of time spent in the programming house. All right. Link in PXS. And somebody said link BTC, but I don't know why you guys are trading. You guys should not be trading Bitcoin pairings right now. It's not worth it. Bitcoin is pamping. Has been pamping. All right, this is going to take me some time to... That is annoying. Ooh, I wonder if I make that adjustment. There we go. Aha, I think that will probably fix the problem. All right, anyways. Yeah, not really interested in Bitcoin pairings. But we'll take a look, man. The daily time frame actually looks pretty good. You know, you want to kind of be careful. Somebody said there was some news coming out about Link. You want to be careful about trading into news events. But you did get rejected from resistance. So, okay, there's a couple elements to this. You do want to get a close above, 10,550, 10,550 sats. But your daily would seem to be indicating that you're getting a continuation cross, which is pretty good. And then Wadatar is confirming down here. So this is all good. It is throwing up the warning sign, the yellow diamond. That is telling you that there's a lot of volume and volatility. It's just telling you to be cautious. There's a lot of risk, a lot of reward. I would see how the daily closes, man. If the daily closes and holds this level and starts to push up past 10,550, that would be a good in. Take profits at 11,518, 12,629, 13,740. You can also target these range highs as well, right, which will put you up about in the 13,555 area. But yeah, the USDT pair is just cleaner and more tradable. These Bitcoin pairings are pumped and dumped. Lose fake money to make fake money, honey. Clark of Krypton, good to see you, brother. Jalen James, I'm super interested in this, just have no idea what to do. Come into the Discord, man. Discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. We've got a free community. We do, I try to talk in there as much as possible, but we got a lot of, it gets more active every day. But if you're interested in learning about how to trade or doing what we do, I sure do, Jose Canet. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 active trades. And while this is not always the case, I will say, and again, anybody in the premium group has access to this. Every single one of them is in the green. How much relevance do I place on the MBT indicator? I don't use it. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, I will broadly tell you about a month or two away when the market may or may not reverse. Yeah. It's pretty good to look at, though. Lane says there's a daily reversal candle. Well, there's no 7 Bitcoin fee to join, brother. In fact, we commonly do giveaways. I wouldn't say that, not commonly. not really. We don't do giveaways. We actually haven't done a giveaway in a while. Sometimes we do discounts for holidays and stuff like that. Can I discuss portfolio management? No, because I'm not an investor. I'm a trader. So I can talk about risk management. I don't have a basket of crypto that I hold and check my blockfolio every day. I have Bitcoin. And then I actively trade Bitcoin. And I have some Ethereum that we got from mining. Got it. And then so then I have I do have a small basket of cryptocurrencies, but that's not an investment. I think the project's good. I like the people. Bitcoin Judith stuff yesterday. I don't think, and again, I know that there's a lot of people who don't think the way I do, but I don't believe in buy and hold returns. I know they work for some people, but most people puke the top and puke the bottom. So, most people, 80% of people who say they're investors in Bitcoin, that means they hodl. Hodl means I have no trading strategy. Risk management will do. Define, so this is actually, how much time do you got? Because this is one of the big focuses of my course. I mean, you have to have a strategy that you can backtest over time that will give you better results than not, right? You're going to take losses. Where to set your stop loss. You have to set your stop loss based on technical analysis, not fixed percentages. You have to take a lot of care with how much you risk in a trade, because it's not an individual trade. Any individual trade has a 50% chance of profitability, right? Either price will either go up or it will go down. You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Whenever you hit that button to enter into a trade, you're rolling the dice, and it's a game of chance. Now, just because one trade has a 50-50 chance doesn't mean a series of trades can't. Because what you can do is you can change your architecture of how you're entering and exiting positions based on your technical analysis. So you have to define how much you're willing to lose of your portfolio per trade, because that is the way to actually get results and receive results year after year. Because if you risk too much in a trade, because you have a 50% chance of it going up or going down, if you risk too much on a trade, then the odds of you blowing out your account are quite high. People come into, and this is, me and Scott were just talking about this earlier with about investment in mining. I mean, most people have no idea. Most people that are in cryptocurrency have no idea what the stock market's like, have no idea what the stock market returns on average, have no idea why people are paid hundreds of millions of dollars to return 2 to 3% more than the average stock market return. People are only concerned. People are so short-sighted that they think that they're going to get 10,000x returns on Bitcoin, right? I mean, we're 10 years in, guys. We're past that point. Can Bitcoin go to 100,000? Could Bitcoin go to 1 million? Sure, but it doesn't need to. Right? So then the question becomes, okay, if you can't make money by just buying something and hoping it goes up exponentially, what do? Oh, you become a trader, because that's what we do. We make money in liquid markets off price fluctuation, right? Buying and holding is wishing and fishing. So I'm going to buy Bitcoin and I think it's going to go to the goddamn moon. Michael Kaijo, thank you so much for the sub on YouTube. That is not an investment strategy. That is I'm a millennial. I have no idea what the stock market does. I don't have a firm plan in life. I don't know how to actually make money. So instead of spending time and effort into developing a trading plan, which I know is a successful career, I'm just going to buy something and hold it and hope it goes up. So buying and holding is not a successful strategy. I know I probably just lost like half of my subscribers, but sorry guys. I mean, the reality is that Bitcoin's price doesn't have to go to 20 or 30 or 40 or 50,000 for you to be involved in this space, right? Like, you can become a trader. You can make money off price fluctuations. You can make money off a liquid market. Anthony Liang says, $2. Thank you so much for the $2, Anthony, my good friend. He says, Jesus Christ, Bitcoin is falling so hard. Pullback seems likely. Got a 3% move in 3 hours over the course of this. We've got an hour and 58 minutes till the 3-hour candle closes. We'll see how this plays out. Damn, the truth burns. Matt A says, that's not fair to say it's not a strategy in terms of risk. It makes more sense to hodl than to panic sell the bottom and foam at the top. You're right. You're right. I agree with you. You're right. I agree with you. I agree with you. You know, there's nothing, listen, so, you know, so before I say that, right? Hold the door, Bitcoin. Hold the door. There is validity to a buy and hold strategy. Okay. And if that's all you have, if that's all you have available to you, that's fine. But you know, I think that most people, the reason why I'm critical on it is because I want to make a strong distinction, right? Because what I do and what a lot of people involved in cryptocurrency do is different, right? So, you know, Anthony says we might even dip back. we dropped down on the 3-hour chart. We're going to 5K. We might even dip back to 5K. Exit all markets now, Anthony says. Well, you heard it here, guys. And you might be right, man. It might be a reversal, but I'm not in an active position on Bitcoin at the moment, so. What I will say is the reason why I want to make that strong distinction is because I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. I think there's a lot of young men, especially. I know young women as well, but I know there's a lot of young men watching this channel who don't have direction in their lives, who don't have purpose in their lives, who are feeling beaten down and excluded from society. And that's not like a charity case or like I'm trying to call out to you guys, but I'm just saying like there are a lot of individuals, especially young men in this world, who don't really have a strong purpose in life, right? Maybe you're not excluded from society. Maybe you just don't have a strong sense of where you're at. Maybe maybe you're dissatisfied with your major in college. Maybe you're dissatisfied with your job. Maybe you're dissatisfied with your position in life or your relationship with your family or your relationship with anybody else. The same situation I found myself in so long ago when I began trading. And trading and taking a disciplined strategic approach and learning in the equity market and learning in the Forex market allowed me to develop the discipline and patience and strategy necessary to improve my personal life, improve my life with my family to the point where I have a beautiful family now that I love and would pretty much give up, not pretty much, I would give anything up in the world for my family. I'll put a qualifier on that. There's a couple things I like. But my point is trading gave me the discipline and the patience and the strategy necessary to improve my life. Right. And I think that opportunity is out there for a lot of people, and going down the route of buying and holding is totally fine for people who totally have their stuff together. They don't want to invest the time into trading. They're already very successful in what they're doing, or they're very, invested in what they're currently doing. That's not involved necessarily with the financial markets. And they just want to get exposure to some cryptocurrency. That's fine. But for the people that come into my group, for the people that I work on mentoring, there's a lot of you out there who don't exactly know what you're doing in life right now. And you can make money and find purpose and that discipline in trading. And there's not a better market to be in than cryptocurrency. But that requires making the distinction between I'm going to do something with my life and I'm going to buy and hold, and that's my full-time career. If you already have a career, if you're already doing something with your life, buying and holding is fine. But if you're a buy and holder and you call yourself a trader, you're not a trader. You're not a trader. You're wandering around in the desert, aimless, with no purpose. Just like I was. And so that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to talk to. All right. Thanks, guys. Sorry. We don't often touch on a lot of stuff that like really hits me close to close to the giblets, and that was definitely a giblet person. GBU Wally coming with the $2 says the smart people dollar cost average. Hell yeah, brother. Shout out to Gunbot University, my good man. Blake Schaefer says, do I share my exact trades with everyone in the premium group? Entry stops? Yes, all of that. Private Discord community. Trade setups. Strategy. Custom indicators. All the good stuff, man. Mentoring sessions, live voice chat. Daniel, thank you so much for the $5 donation, my good friend. You didn't even leave a message. Thank you, my brother. You're one of the good ones. So let's see how this plays out. We're on the 3-hour candle. I don't really want to make a move on Bitcoin to the downside before this triggers. We go to the 30-minute chart, see if we got a signal. We do got a 30-minute short signal right here. We got a continuation cross right here, as well as breakdown below the EMA. Now, we got that lower boundary of the order block as well, coming in at 77.12 here on Bitstamp. We're on the Bitstamp chart, right? So I'm not too eager to short this movement, especially as we're coming up on these lows, right? Especially as we're coming up on these lows. So just be patient a little bit, guys. If there's going to be a big pullback in Bitcoin's price, just wait for whatever strategy you're using to give you a signal, and that's exactly what I'm doing, right? Shout out to you, Wounded Warrior, man. I hear you, brother. Larry, Barry, and Steve. Hey, what's going on, man? Can I look at Neo USDT? I got, I got to do the lightning round on these requests. I will for you, man, of course. Follow me on Twitch. Thank you so much, my good friend. Just buy every extreme dip in BTC and hold. If you do that, then you'll probably do pretty well, Wall2D2 says. Potentially, yes. All right, 3-hour. Trading below, not closing below the 3-hour baseline. That could be our first potentiality. Really, you want something on the 8-hour, man. You really want something on the 8-hour. We got a little bit of regular bearish divergence right here. Ooh, that was some good 8-hour bearish divergence. Interesting. Daily reversal candle. 12-hour sell signal on time transformation, trading below the last low. This closes in 4 hours and 51 minutes. 8-hour closes in 4 hours and 51 minutes. About to close below. We've got support on the 8-hour down at 73.88. So. My wife doesn't believe. Oh, man. Coinbase down. I hope not. They owe me $1,000. All systems operational. All right, it is 2:09, guys. We're going to do the lightning round here real quick, and I got to get going. All right, MPXS USDT. Pundi Tether on the daily is starting to look pretty good. You're above the daily baseline. Big Darth Maul candle. So this is a caution symbol right here. Actually, we had it on the previous day. So current day, no, not so much. So this actually is kind of okay. We will have a signal on the daily close. So we'll have to see where the daily close ends. But this could potentially generate a signal at the close of the daily. Looking at potential take profits of 000 72 345, 000 79 257, 000 86168 in the short term. And we'll focus about long-term targets if it gets bullish. TRX, USDT. Whoa, baby. Hello. All right. I think we have a problem. What the heck just happened? Oh, I know what happened. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. The way that I programmed Quadrigo resizes my screen sometimes. So sometimes that's fine. On this situation, it was not. All right, so anyways, Tron, USDT. Let's see what's going on. Coiling, generally, I stay out of coiling markets, but you will be getting a fresh buy signal. You got your first buy signal back here on this candle right here. You'll be getting another fresh buy signal on this candle right here. You got resistance up at the daily order block around not 28, not 303. Looks pretty good. Wait for the daily candle to close. Manage risk probably below this low. Quadrigo would tell you to manage risk at not 23.42271. Doesn't look too bad. Omisa Go. OMG looks good. You're about to get a buy signal on the daily. Breaking above resistance. And Cardano. Cardano, you had a buy signal yesterday, so you're still riding that, baby. Ding, ding, ding. Russian hackers. Yeah, double clicking the scale don't work, man. And it's not again, it's because of the way that I got an indicator coded. Unfortunately. Let's see what happens right here at 77.15, 77.12. Let's see what happens at this liquidity zone. Mm-hmm. $28.82. Mm-hmm. 79.46. $70. And yeah, probably good on that. We wait. All right, get out of there. All right, guys. That's about all I've got for you guys today. Yeah, hidden indicators at 0 level mess up your scale. Yep. And there was no other way I could do it without getting it out of the bottom because you have to plot lines for them to show up in the indicator window. Rumor Bitfinex is closing down. Probably just a rumor. It sounds like they raised $1 billion. All right, guys. That's about it for me today. Let's switch back over here, man. Bling, bing, 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 bong. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin Market Update. Of course, I have been your host, Justin Wise, lead analyst and senior mentor at CrackingCryptocurrency.com. If you guys have any comments, questions, sarcastic remarks, and or death threats, make sure to leave them in the comments section down below. If you would like access to our mentorship group, to our Pathways to Profit course, to our custom indicators, to our private Discord community, to our analysts and trade setups, you can, of course, check the link at the top of the screen, premium.crackingcryptocurrency.com. I'd love to see you in there. Otherwise, please check out our free Discord community, discord.crackingcryptocurrency.com. All right, guys, we'll be back here, same crypto time, same crypto network, 12 to 2 p.m. CDT, 5 to 7 p.m. CDT on the weekends, guys. Have a fantastic day, guys. And as always, trade safely. Midwest Attempts, thanks so much for the sub on YouTube.